Big segment on the BBC News website today, the moment I decided who to vote for. Ladies and gents, how are you doing? This is going to have to serve as my election campaign coverage because I can't do a live stream on election night. Unfortunately, due to the time difference and the fact I've got a day job, I'll basically be at work when the election results are all coming in. So, I'm going to walk through some of the big stories on the BBC website today and give you my honest opinion about what's going to happen and who's going to vote for who and, well, essentially sum up which people are rational and reasonable and logical and are, voting for Trump, and people that are voting for Kamala Harris because they're as thick as dried whale spunk. Right then, first things first, let's see who this lass is voting for. As millions of Americans pick their next president, what is it that drives their choice as they mark the ballot paper in front of them? We spoke to 7 people about the moment they made up their mind. I cannot morally vote for Harris, crikey. You'll do for me, Allison. At the core, I lean to the left. Yeah, well, if you're not a warmongering sociopath, you should be voting for Trumpy then, shouldn't you? As a black woman herself, oh, here we go. Identity politics on the second paragraph. Can't you just not talk about it? Don't you miss the 90s when people were reasonable and didn't talk about what they are all the time? I miss the 90s, the liberal 90s, the tolerant 90s. Can we go back to that? Because this is just drivel. Why should anybody pick someone based off what they are? Should I pick hairy northern blokes and nobody else? Trump happening to be white is irrelevant. I care about as much about that as I do about his shoe size. It's totally illogical. I can't believe they're bringing it up all the time. We've definitely gone backwards. Anyway, Allison, a paediatric nurse and mother of 2, will not be voting for her. Instead, in protest of the heartbreaking war in Gaza, she will cast her ballot for Green Party candidate Jill Stein. Well, you do you. As I said, I'm not going to slag anyone off for voting for a third-party candidate. I'm just going to slag you off if you think yourself liberal or left-wing, and you're going to vote for a warmongering, domineering, globalist, self-trimming, pole-smoking sociopath like Kamala Harris. If you're left-wing, you cannot vote for Kamala Harris. So this woman's based. You do you, girlfriend. You go and vote for Jill Stein. The paediatric nurse in me has been heartbroken at the images I see. Okay, fair enough. But just know this, Donald will end the war. Donald's good at that. He did it with that little short, fat Korean who everyone was saying was going to end the world. They said Trump was going to cause World War III. He didn't, did he? He didn't. Things relaxed with China. Things relaxed with Korea. Things relaxed with the Russians. Turns out that the bloke that they all said was a lunatic who was going to cause World War III turned out to be a foreign policy savant. Let's have it said. He was the most anti-war president the United States has had for about 40 years. So well done, Trumpy. You go and vote for Jill Stein. Don't worry. We'll deal with stopping the war, darling. All right? We've got this. You're all right. I like Trump's toughness until my family taught me otherwise. Here we go. John Dottie was not especially political. Okay, so that's why he's thick as shit. Okay, answers a few questions, that, doesn't it? He mostly felt at home within conservative circles. I bought into the machismo and the toughness Trump tried to portray. But a few weeks after the election, he spent Thanksgiving in New York with his now wife, Ruth, and her family, who are undocumented immigrants from Mexico. That's when Trump's aggressive response to illegals started to rankle. They are illegals. They are illegals. Guess what? If I came over here without a visa, I just landed and then stayed, and then a year later I was just taking the piss and doing my own thing, they'd call me an illegal, wouldn't they? Because I would be. I'd be an illegal immigrant. Very strange how if you look like me and you come from Europe, you'd be instantly branded an illegal immigrant. But if you don't, and you come from somewhere where, the Ebola virus is prevalent, the last people who should be coming in illegal, they're not illegal. They're undocumented immigrants. What a load of bollocks. My wife's mom, she's been deported before. One day the police showed up and she's gone, you shouldn't do that to kids, to families. Yeah, you should. Yeah, you should. Of course you should. If you don't do that, you haven't got a country. You don't have police borders, you haven't got a country. I did things the right way. I got 2 interviews. I got a police background check. I got 2 medicals. I paid the fees. I waited in line. I did everything correct. Why do they get to take the piss out of me and every other person that did things the right way? Why? What do you mean you shouldn't be doing that to them? Do it to them. Imagine if you're a little Venezuelan kid and you've been on the list to come over for the last 18 months. You'd be like, Papi, why'd this woman get to take the piss, no? No, I know I would. Millions of legal immigrants are against this type of thing. Just letting them take the piss and do what they want. There's a queue. Get in it, all right? Christ, I thought it was Germans who jumped the queues. Evidently not. Here we are. These two know the crack. Look at that wonderful yard sign. Nothing will sway me from Trump after this. Craig Blessing, his wife Brianna, and their 2 toddlers arrived in Florida after moving from the West Coast. Brianna lost her job in Southern California because she wouldn't get a booster after the first one gave her bad complications. They could have stayed in California jobless and homeless or try somewhere else. By the time Brianna was fired, Craig had reached his breaking point. I'm just like, man, these people really want to control our lives. And he has shed his political agnosticism. There's no way my vote could be swayed from Trump, he said. Welcome to the party, Craig. Come on in, the water's lovely. I used to be a political agnostic. I'm a socially liberal chap. I've never bought into any of the typical conservative talking points, but I'm also not a raving lunatic. So yes, we're in the same boat, son. It's great, it's great. Come and hang out with the normal people. You'll soon find it's a fine experience. These birds look very stern, don't they? Crikey. Look at the look on that one on the right. I feel like that's how my missus would look at me if she walked in and caught me shagging a mother. That's not a happy face, is it? Melissa Alexander and Mary Joyce's party affiliations were taken as a given. It's almost a bad word to say Democrat in my house. Very sensible household. Daddy did a good job raising you. But they were both uncomfortable with Trump's disrespectful rhetoric towards women. Oh, here we go. I became a single-issue voter on March 27th. Safer regulations around firearms. Neither is voting for Trump, citing his silence on gun control and a comment in January he made after a school shooting that we have to get over it. That sent me over the edge. The survivor community lives with this every day of their lives. The survivor community. What community are you in? What community are you in? She read in the newspaper that there was a school shooting and she didn't know anyone involved in it. Survivor? You know a survivor? I watched the Titanic. Doesn't mean I was on it, does it? Survivor community. That's unbelievable. It reminds me of that Mitchell and Webb bit. Do you remember when we hijacked that van and punched a German in the face? What? I like the Raiders of the Lost Ark, therefore I was in it. You're not in a community. You're not in a community. Give your head a shake, you silly mare. Oop! There's another disrespectful comment. You can add that to the pile, love. This remark by Harris means I can't vote for her. Here we are. Rick Morris is a Spanish professor, evangelical Christian, and is also gay. Okay, not really relevant as usual, but it's the BBC. He begrudgingly voted for Trump in 2020, but he says now he's got cognitive decline. Are you having a laugh? Are you having a laugh? He said he will not be voting at all. I'll wait for a better choice in 2028. Listen, the current president of the United States has got porridge inside his skull. Don't you start running stories, BBC, telling me about cognitive decline in Trump. Don't do it. Don't do it. The man is a shell. He's a shambling zombie of a human being. The bloke hasn't got basic motor functions. Do not try, with a straight face, to tell me that Trump's the one showing cognitive decline. Are you pulling my pisser, BBC? Jesus wept. Arthur Beaufort enlisted with the Marines at 19. He said he wanted to prove to himself that he could do it. Hang on, surely my eyes are deceiving me. Look at him. He's got, what would you call it? A slightly tanned appearance. That doesn't happen. You don't look like that and vote for Trump. It's impossible. No, the liberal media's told me for years that people of that demographic definitely don't vote for Trump. So this must be a typo. In fact, is that Al Jolson? Is that a ginger man wearing makeup? It must be. It must be, because that's what they've told us for the last 4 years, haven't they? And I trust them more than I do my own eyeballs. There he is again. This can't be real. Turn round. I want to see what he looks like from the back. They might have only done the makeup on the front, and when he turns around, he's got a big shock of ginger hair on the back. He said he doesn't like Trump, but he hates Kamala. It's mostly her inauthenticity, he said. There just seems to be so much misalignment between what she says she is and what she actually is. Well, very based, Arthur. People who are Baptists don't support abortion. There's something deeply disingenuous about that. Yeah, there is, yeah. When it suits her, she's as Christian as G-Boo himself. But as soon as she gets a chance, she'll cave a baby's head in with a house brick. So, yeah, Arthur's sensible. Who's left? Cat Green burst into tears. I just lost all of these rights. You didn't lose any rights. You didn't lose any rights, did you? Then this past, she suffered a miscarriage. Oh, well, job done then. Job done. What are you worried about? God sorted it out for you. He's good like that. He takes care of you. She was lucky that a doctor gave her the option of a dilation and evacuation, a common method of abortion that is used in the case of miscarriage, but they are mostly prohibited in this state. This is bollocks. So are you telling me her baby died in the womb, and in Kentucky, generally what they'll do is go, just leave it in there. Just leave it in. It's fine. What? Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, you just walk around with a corpse inside you for the rest of your life. Of course you do. What are you whinging for? It's good. It's like a little bit of extra weight when you're on the treadmill in the gym. We're doing you a solid. You don't have to buy one of those vests with lead weights in it. Yeah, that's what all. In fact, if you walk around Kentucky, there's just tens of thousands of women with 4 or 5 year old fetuses just continually living inside them, and no one does anything about it. Yeah, everyone knows that. And if you break your leg, they just tell you to walk it off. How is this not disinformation? That's just an outright lie. She was lucky that a doctor allowed her to evacuate the baby. Because everybody else, you just have to keep them. Even if they're brown bread. Makes loads of sense. And then the last story, a lot of women are rising up. Harris hopes hinge on the female vote. Well, she's knackered then. Because I'll tell you what, women hate Kamala Harris. She's got all the charm of a radioactive leper. My mother-in-law is a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat with full-on TDS, and she's not voting for either candidate. If they're hinging the vote on women, they're going to be in for a shock, because women hate her. That's what you get for rigging it and not having a primary. She was the least popular person on that stage by a country mile. Warren was more popular, Gabbard was more popular, Amy Klobuchar was more popular, Beto was more popular, Biden was more popular. Everybody hates Kamala Harris. She has got all the charisma of a rattlesnake with tits. Okay, she's got no chance with the women vote. It's ludicrous. They're not going to carry her over the line. Brain dead under 30s might all come out for her because they do as they're told and they don't do basic reading. And they're like, my rights, I've lost my rights. I've got to carry around a 6-year-old fetus inside me for the rest of my life. You don't. If you actually read anything, you wouldn't be daft enough to be voting for camel toe. So, that's nonsense. Women over 40, massive amounts of them are going to vote for Trump. Loads of Democrat women are going to scrub the vote and not bother voting at all. But all the Trump voters are motivated to get out and vote. So basically, my prediction is he's got every advantage now. He's now got an X account. He's now got allies in Silicon Valley. He didn't have either of those things the last election. They've made a complete pig's ear out of the country. The economy's tanking. Gas is expensive. Eggs are expensive. Bread's expensive. Mortgages are up. Trump's got every single advantage. So the only thing left to do is blatantly cheat, which you'll be unhappy to know they're probably going to do. So my opinion is, in reality, Trump will win by about 4 million votes. But doesn't matter how you vote. It matters who's counting them. And we've got literally millions of brainwashed TDS suffering activists who honestly do believe that the orange man is the devil incarnate. So they've convinced themselves that it's actually moral to cheat. So I think we're in real trouble, and there's going to be unprecedented cheating, the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. But we'll see. I'm not optimistic. I'm not. I'm convinced more people support Trump than support Harris. But in this day and age, with galloping TDS rampaging across the country, I am not hopeful. So we'll see what happens. That's my predictions. Fingers crossed the Orange Oracle has foreseen the Machiavellian machinations of his enemies and will burn them in holy fire. But we'll see. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Have a fantastic night. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Okay. Toodle pip. Cheers.